All right, I'd like to call to order the November 18 meeting of the Shrewsbury Housing Authority. This particular meeting being held here at Francis Gardens.
No.
Yes, correct. Elizabeth Gardens, thank you. Because that would be unusual to be either place. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you. I will take a motion for anyone that has read the October minutes.
Motion to accept the minutes for October?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, Kelly. Moving on to the treasurer's report. Anything worth telling us, Kath? Kelly?
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Bless you.
I second that.
Thank you.
Anything worth going over, Kelly?
Nope.
Okay. So, did I hear a motion?
Motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to the check register for the monthly bills. Is it only one page? Yeah, it
Two.
seems.
Parker Road comes to mind when I looked at that. We've had a lot of problems at Parker Road, huh, Kelly?
Yes.
Yeah. Not just one unit. There was another unit with a big drainage blockage.
Yes, and Gary, on Gary's bills, his explanation, he explains all those.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see it.
So I have a page and a half worth of billables totaling approximately 106,000. Does anyone in this room or on the phone have questions about any specific bills?
Nope.
Kelly, maybe Richard was just asking about the same one. The town of Shrewsbury's 2,400 and 1,400 on the bottom of the bottom of the list at the top of the second page. Are those related to what Richard was just asking about?
The town.
Or are they just normal water bills? Those weren't.
Those are normal ones.
Okay, I didn't know if they were something to do with on-call special provisions.
No, normal water.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions relating to the payables?
No.
No.
I still okay. I'm looking at the gravity and plumbing on the installing the tub shop valve supply tub hot water feeder to boiler. $4,000. That's a lot of money. We had to replace the tub itself with that unit.
Yes, we did.
What line number, Richard, are you referring at?
Right where you were.
18,750.
A third of the way down on the first page.
18757?
58.
Yeah, and I'm looking at
okay.
Gary's.
1,877.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Gary's explanation.
Oh, I hadn't gotten that far.
But okay, I mean, I think that and the drainage. Where are we? Drain away.
Yeah.
Those were on Parker Road as well.
One was at Parker Road, and one was Francis Gardens laundry room for drain away.
Okay, I see it. Okay, so you put those two together. Okay. Okay. All right. I mean, I'm just bringing to your attention that's a lot of money on that just that plumbing issue on that one unit. Boy.
Was it, so I see that it says 401, I agree with you, Richard, first of all. It says 4016, then under his notes it says tub shower valve. Was it more than that, Kelly? I mean, because I agree, that 4,000 is a lot for a tub and a shower.
It is. We have to realize they have to pay prevailing wages.
Okay.
So the amount goes up every time.
And what was water feeder to boiler? They had to rerun a line back to the boiler or something? Oh, you don't know.
Install tub, shower valve, supply tub and valve, hot water heater, water feeder to boiler. At 14 Parker, it needed a lot of work.
Okay. All right. That place was in rough shape, correct? We talked
Yes.
about that. Okay. All right. Did you hear her, Richard? Yep.
I did. That's the only thing that really jumped out at me. Otherwise, I'm fine.
Okay. I will. Does anyone else have any questions? Then I will gladly take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the payables in the amount of 106,0313.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, Kelly. And then there's Gary's explanation, which we've already just now been through. And now we are at the portability payouts and all of the section 8, so I'll take some motions.
I'll make the motion that we do the portability payouts in the amount of $85.20.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
And I'll make a motion that we pay the landlords and tenants checks in the amount of $117,535.60.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Payroll.
And I'll make a motion that we pay the payroll as printed.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Kelly, you are unanimous on everything. Anything in narrow, Kelly? I flipped through it and didn't see anything earlier today, but I will confess that it was not a deep dive.
December 3rd and 4th, I am going to the fall conference.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Good for you. Where is it? Is that in Boston?
Natick.
Okay, good.
If anybody would like to join me, there's still time. I also went to the new improved centralized waiting list.
Was it either?
It's the new improved.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Was it either?
There has been updates, but the last major update was back in '08. We've had this, so it's almost 10 years. And if you look on the third page of the Narrow News,
Classifieds, ads, what?
no,
Housing committee convenes?
yes, where it says housing,
Got it, yep.
where it says AUP.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to have to look for another audit firm who does our audits next year.
Because we've been doing it for 5 years.
We've had the same one since '08.
Yeah.
All right, so that's more than 5 years, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you need a master's in mathematics. So Kelly, I think you should start on that right now, given that we're in November. I personally, I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, but I'd like to see some research that says these are the top 2 or 3, and maybe vet them and stuff like that.
DHCD has given the housing authorities a list of 5.
Perfect. So why don't you, and again, I'll take input from the rest of the team, run those 5 by our fee accountant, ask them if there's any level of comfort with, 1, 2, and 3 versus 3, 4, and 5 that they have, and then come back to us saying, these are the 5 DHCD has given us, these are the, I'm making this up, the 3 that the fee accountant recommends, this is the 1 or 2 I'd like to go with. Does the rest of the board concur with that kind of process?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Maybe.
Yeah. That seems good. I'm not sure that our accountant can recommend, but he could give us the pros and cons.
Yeah, I didn't say recommend, exactly, ones that he's had good experiences with. I was trying to, exactly, the ones that he's worked with, that he's had other housing authorities work with, that felt like it was a good working relationship. I realize there's a, for lack of a better word, somewhat adversarial relationship there between an accountant, a fee accountant, and an auditor. But still, I'm sure he must have experiences on either side, so.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense. Then I think, does everyone agree with that kind of
Yes,
approach?
that sounds
Yeah,
good.
if
Yes.
you wanna take, so now we're already in November, and we should probably have that teed up for January, February, so maybe even in December, you could have some recommendations for us or something like that. And we can do a deeper dive then. That's a good catch, because like I said, I looked at the correspondence and I didn't even catch that. I kinda went through it quickly. Anything else, Kelly?
Nothing else.
Okay. All right, moving forward, or rightwood, vacancies. Francis, 1.
One in the person who is going to lease up. It's due to hospitalization, so that's been put off a little bit.
So we hold that or something?
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Elizabeth,
Do we have is there a specific leeway we can give on this, or are we going to get a finding for this, Kelly?
No, it's fine. It's not within the 60 days, and Karen Alice said with a doctor's letter, we were okay, and that's what we received.
Okay. Okay.
Other than that, Elizabeth and family units are all leased.
So when you say family units were all leased based on the bills for Parker Road, that's been turned?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. Good. It'll take us a year and a half to recoup that, okay. Federal.
100% leased.
Yeah,
Great.
look at that. As Mr. Ricker says, no rooms at the end.
No room at the end.
Section 8.
We're back up to 173.
Excellent.
Good job, Kelly. Good work. And are you still really more or less managing that yourself?
No, Jennifer is.
100%, okay. Because I know for a while you were trying to do both, okay. All right, social services.
Right in
Hovering-
line with usual.
Yep, hovering right around that 30 or 40 that it's been ever since the change.
Yep.
So no new change, it's the new normal, I guess is another way to look at it.
Yep.
Bulletins, all right, and then we're getting into new old business with salary increases, right, Kelly?
Yes.
So why don't you take the floor and Kath, why don't you put that next to her? She'll be talking about
I remember last board meeting, Richard, when I
Yeah.
showed the 2019 budget that's coming out, you want to see the last 3 years of salary. And this
Yeah.
is all from James.
Okay.
It's always been the 3% for the past 3 years.
Okay.
And then you see the Department of Labor Standards, they're the ones who set the maintenance wage rates.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's just asking for the last 3 years. And when James comes out, that's when he'll do the budget and the increases, but you, as I remember last year, you guys want me to bring that before James comes out.
it. Right.
Right,
So-
so that we at least have some advance notice of what we're looking at, and
It was
so
context.
if anybody has any issues with the salaries that we're showing
Right.
on the outline, that people can raise their voice now. Is that a fair statement, Paul?
100% agreed. It was in a lack of context, is yet another way to say it. Last year we came and all of a sudden it was increases, and for me at least, there was no context to what was it previously, where did it come from, how did it go? To that same end, number 1, Kelly, that number on the first line of number 1, is that what it is currently, or is that the new recommendation? Under the budget narrative for fiscal ending 3/31/19.
That's, no.
That's not what it currently is.
That's not the 89.3 is.
That's what I thought, okay. But they're saying that would be the recommendation? The first number?
Yes.
Okay,
All EDs got a 10% last year,
right.
and I asked for mine to be split up over 3 years.
And we were mad at you for that, if I
Yes.
recall.
We
Okay,
were.
and so this is market. Alright. Richard, are you tracking with what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, alright. Number 1, we need to get to first bullet number 1, that's all. So, okay. Alright, great. So when James comes back, this is where we need to land for that. And then he'll make recommendations for the others as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Except for maintenance.
Which
Maintenance
is governed
is-
by, yeah, okay. Alright, great.
And when are we gonna see James?
We should see James, it's normally around February or March, but I'm going to see James next week. He's coming out to do the accountant work, so I will let him know.
Okay. All right, well, this gives us a little bit of time to look at this and to basically develop any thoughts anyone may have. So thank you for putting this together, Kelly.
You're
I
welcome.
agree, thanks. Anyone else have any comments for Kelly? No. Okay, moving on, I think that is all, thank you, all for new business, or old business, so moving to new business, CIP. And that's the letter from the Commonwealth, I know that's the labor standards, so.
Oh, I had just
Go
one
ahead, Gail.
comment before we move on. I think we're supposed to have position, not names in here, and we still are showing
It's
names,
public knowledge.
even
Oh,
with the
where they
person's
can go up to
name.
the town hall.
Yeah, everything is open.
It's not by position?
No.
Okay.
No,
I agree with you in spirit, but not in law. I
Okay.
completely agree, yeah, but no, that's, so when I talk like that, I'm dancing for the
Okay.
same reason, but technically anyone can go up to the town hall and look at any of
Right.
this.
Okay, okay.
All
But
public.
I think you're correct.
Okay, great. All right, so it's new business and it's CIP, Kelly.
CIP is capital improvement plan. I have to meet with the tenants at Francis Gardens, Elizabeth Street, and family in the scattered sites. I met with Francis Gardens and Elizabeth Street on November 7th. Elizabeth Street, out of 36, they all got a notice saying the capital improvement plan was coming up and to look at recommendations. Out of the 36 residents, 9 have responded, 9 did. They wanted cameras outside, which would be a capital improvement, but we need to get a, from the police department, a record of the year of how many incidents they've been called here to get security cameras.
Is there a base level we're supposed to have before they'll do it?
They want to see the security level to have the state pay for it.
Okay.
So, but I agree with Kathy's question. Is there an answer to that? Did they say if it was 5 above, they'll pay, if there's 10 or less, they won't? Or do we?
They just want to see the documentation of how many times there was
Okay.
a 911 emergency here or whatever, or regarding security.
That seems
So-
like a very odd request, to tell you the truth.
We don't have any numbers that that's based on. They could come back and say you don't have enough and.
They could say that, and they would say they would not fund that through DHCD.
So this is DHCD that would say that?
Yes.
Okay.
And DHCD sets money aside so we can do certain projects.
Right, but usually it's a justification, so this seems to me, at least in the last 10 years, the first time I've heard a hurdle or a condition saying if then else kind of deal.
Yeah.
That's right. Richard, did you hear all that? Are you tracking that?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, that seems a little odd to me. I don't mind
Is that
saying
a
that.
change in procedure?
No other housing authorities are getting formula funding based on police reports.
Okay.
Of how many times.
I mean, I don't materially disagree with it, but that's the first time I've ever heard something like that. Usually it's contractors and bids and needs and assessments, not how many times the policeman called. But, okay, fair enough. If it's
It's just some
Right.
bureaucrat, decision that someone has made at some level
Right.
to say, well, why don't we have these kind of stats to support us?
Right. Exactly. I get it. It's just obviously not new to at least me and probably most of this board, so that's fine. All right, so fair enough.
These tenants also would like bigger laundry room. That would mean that would be a fish project, and that would, right now they have 2 washers, 3 dryers. That would take, they want a bigger project where it could be between 50 and 100,000.
Yeah, well, where would the space come from? We'd have to
The
steal
s-
it from somewhere.
Exactly, we could take away from this office space that we have. That's something we can look at.
I
also.
think that sounds like a fabulous project. I don't think that's without merit at all. If they're, is the audience competing for laundry space in time frequently? I think that's a fabulous project, but that's not a quick, I mean, that's a massive project.
So when I met with DHCD on the 8th, we put that in for the next 5 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, another resident wanted an elevator put here. That's unrealistic.
I'm less inclined to agree with that project.
Another resident wanted a gym put in.
Also a unique idea, not a bad idea, but it has to, I think about the maximum people that it'll serve and benefit in usage, whereas, like I said, the laundry project, I bet that's an instant ROI project where people are much happier the second it turns on.
Yes.
I'd have a hard time saying the same about an elevator or a gym.
And the laundry would seem to benefit a lot.
Everybody,
of people.
right, the many, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Who gets the most bang for our
Right,
buck, that's what I'm
right.
saying.
And everybody who was at the meeting once the parking lot paved.
Another complete
Good,
agreement.
yeah,
Complete
that's a
agreement.
good project.
I met with DHCD. Well, I had a phone conference, I'm sorry. I had a phone conference this morning at 10:30 with DHCD. There was like 6 other people in this phone conference. The bids are going out in December. This is gonna be a spring project. It was a telephone conference. It was the project kickoff meeting. They will be doing this back. This is the most. The project is looking at the cost of $62,000
For just this.
for the back,
Front and back? or
Front- The whole thing?
Yeah.
the back, the front.
I call
is
this the front. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
front.
is the worst.
Right, okay.
So they're looking doing this.
Okay.
Is that $62,000 just for that?
I actually thought 60,000 sounded very low, to tell you the truth, so now that makes sense.
That's because it's simple, bad.
Yeah. No, so I think that's a very, so of the projects that I heard proposed, I think there are 2 of them that are high value, high output, and she's already proceeded to bidding on one, so I think
Yeah.
that's great. Now again, for the audience's benefit, this isn't our decision, we recommend and we support, DHCD makes the ultimate call, but it sounds like DHCD is on board with the paving.
They are.
That's great,
Good.
good job, Kelly, good job.
And that would be a spring project, I
That
assume,
will
because
be a
asphalt
spring.
factories close
Yes.
Right.
in a month. Okay.
If not Thursday when it snows.
Yeah, or Thursday.
Yes.
All right, nice work, Kelly, good job. Is there more to CIP or is that it?
They also asked for power washing. At another development, DHCD shot that down. Power washing
That
is
doesn't feel like a
not
capital project to
It's
me.
not a capital project. And spraying for insects. The town comes by and
Right,
sprays.
right,
Can,
But that's 99 responses.
That's great,
can
that's
power
great.
washing be part of a regular maintenance project?
It could be in the preventive maintenance.
Can I say something?
Sure, I was gonna say, just give us 1 minute and we're almost at the end and I'm gonna
Okay,
open it up.
cool,
Thank
no
you very
problem.
much.
No
Yep,
problem.
I'm sorry.
Power washing versus preventive.
So the power washing, it's always emergencies, vacancies.
Yeah.
Preventive maintenance would be at the end.
Okay.
Right now, maybe in the spring, if the vacancies stay,
Okay.
no vacancies, we could look at power washing.
Okay.
Just like your own home, there's a litany of things that
Oh,
we can
right.
get to, and then there's always the turnovers and
Right.
stuff like that, so. But yeah, that's not a capital improvement
Right.
project, our guys can do that. They
Yeah.
may need to rent a power washer at Home Depot or something, but
Right.
that's fine. Okay, other questions for Kelly?
Awesome.
Kath, no?
Nope.
All right, that having, anything else from you, Kelly?
No, that's all.
That having been said, the very next agenda item is I will turn it over to the
I
people
need
in
a
the.
board vote that you guys.
Oh, thank you. So can someone give me a motion for the whole thing or for the
The
parking lot?
capital improvement plan.
What's the number? Is there, just
That
as
I
printed?
discussed the capital
Okay.
improvement at a public meeting.
So we need a motion that she's discussed the capital improvement plan.
Motion that the capital improvement plan was discussed at the board meeting in a public forum.
And approved or just discussed?
Second.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Unanimous. Thank you. I didn't realize you needed a motion there. Is that it, Kelly?
That is it.
All right, that having been said, thank you for your patience. I'm more than happy to turn it over and open it up for discussion to our audience. So the lady in the middle had a question right off the bat.
Okay, first of all, are your minutes and meetings online anywhere?
I
Excuse
think
me?
so.
No.
No, they're not.
Is there a reason why? Usually public meetings, their minutes usually go online,
Just the board agenda.
okay?
What's the question, Tom?
The audience asked, I'll repeat it for you a bit, if the meetings to the minutes are online, and Kelly said no, just the agenda. But I would say that they're rarely, we have 12 meetings a year, maybe 11, sometimes we miss August. And they're almost all, out of those 11, 10 if not all 11 are videotaped, and the town runs them over and over again. I don't know if there's an archiving system for the town where you can go and look up on demand. There is. So my answer to your question is not necessarily a printed form, but every meeting is taped and archived and can be watched on demand. Thank you. Richard, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that's adequate.
Okay.
Okay. Secondly, we are having a real big problem with the trash company, okay? And I think Kathleen, I
Yep,
think my
yep.
name's Terry. So
Okay, Terry, thank you.
all right. And I appreciate Kelly for trying to work through this problem. But the recycling guy comes anywhere between 5 minutes of 6 in the morning, okay? He comes into the parking lot, he squeals his brakes, and then all you can hear is beep, 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 all the way through the parking lot, okay? The trash guy does the same thing. He comes in, and all you can hear is bang, boom, bang, boom. You know, and it's like 10 minutes to 7 o'clock.
Right.
We need you to do something about it.
So,
All our bedrooms are on this side, okay? So we all get woken up. Okay?
so I agree that it's a disturbance and I feel bad, and Kelly has already checked into it. You emailed myself, if I'm not mistaken,
I
and
did.
Kathy.
Yep.
Kathy
You're back
responded
and
and
forth.
connected. Yeah, but we were all on the same thread, so I wasn't gonna add to the fire. So essentially, we were checking if there's a noise ordinance or a construction ordinance. It only applies to construction in town, not actual dumpster retrieval. I know there are other residential areas closer to the center of town where there are businesses that have the same complaint or grievance. I myself live right in the center of town and it happens to me. That having been said, Kelly has already gone out and called and met with the recycling and disposal company and asked their rep if we could get put to the, I'll paraphrase Kelly's and you can jump in, put to the end of the route instead of the beginning and they can come back later. And the person told her they were gonna check into that and work on that and get back to her. Now, there was no commitment, no promise, and she hasn't heard back yet. But Kelly did take that under advisement and did reach out to try and make that adjustment. Do you wanna add to that, Kelly?
And I've also been communicating with Terry. Tomorrow, I believe, is the day they normally come. So my fingers are crossed that they heard me. They will come after 7 o'clock
When's the
tomorrow.
last time you talked to him, Kelly?
I talked to him last Wednesday. When you emailed me at 7 o'clock,
Yeah, they came at 6:30. Yeah.
that morning, you,
Recycling guy, yeah.
yes.
I mean, I
and then
will say
emailed them
dumpster
right
companies
after.
start at 4 and 5 a.m. This is an industry norm
This
to
is a
avoid.
This is a residential building.
Yeah.
I would think they could go somewhere else, like a commercial place.
Agreed, and Kelly asked that, but this isn't something that's off the reservation from their business model. They go out very early because they want to avoid cars blocking dumpsters traditionally. So we've taken it under advisement, we're trying to act on it. I just can't, I can't pound my chest and ask them to do something that is not against the law and not out of the norm. And so we can ask them and try and work with them and collaborate and be, take a team approach to solving the problem, which Kelly's doing. So we just have to sit and wait and see if it'll work.
I'm hoping
And
tomorrow.
when the contract comes up for renewal or discussion, we can attempt to put a provision in the contract to cover that issue.
That's when we'll really have leverage. That's a great point,
Yeah.
Richard. So these contracts are every
When are they up?
3 to 5
3 to
years.
5.
They're not quick. They're every 3 to 5 years, but we're surely midway through a contract. So when they do come up, that's a really good point. We can try and assert our leverage then, because right now, I would be willing to bet anything that in our contract that does not say they come at a certain time. So we're kind of subject to their mercy, even though they seem to be flexible and willing to work with us. But
Where are we in the cycle, Kelly? What year are we in the cycle?
renewal of contract wise.
The
I'm gonna
contract?
say we need to cancel, this contract's been going on.
This is what we've been
It's the
discussing.
one-
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Ongoing.
So there may be a second point of leverage for us in that if we're in the process of renegotiating this contract, we can assert some leverage there as well.
Okay, well, I really appreciate it.
So we've heard you, we get it, we wanna do everything we can, but we're somewhat bound by what we can do. It's not like we could, in fact, to be honest, I told Kelly, call the town manager and ask about the construction law, and it just doesn't apply. So all we can do is say, please help us and be a good, we're giving you business, let us be a good customer to you and let us be a good vendor, and that's what the approach Kelly's taking.
I don't care.
And will you let us know tomorrow, Terry, what time they
I
come?
will definitely let you know.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean,
Maybe
fingers crossed.
maybe they heard her and they've
Yeah.
adjusted it and we'll have good news tomorrow. So fingers crossed, but keep us posted.
Okay.
Alright. Other questions? Anyone else in the audience? Sir, in the back? Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to say something.
Ask a question.
Kelly knows. I've been here about a year,
Okay.
okay? and
What's your name, please?
Tom Perry.
Tom Perry? Okay, thank you, Tom.
when I first came here, I wasn't told about no bug problem in my apartment. Okay? All of a sudden I get a call for an exterminator. You know, nobody told me anything. Okay? Ms. Fuentes, never said anything wrong with the apartment. Said everything was great. Then I get the call, oh, there's a bug problem in your apartment. We have to come in with an exterminator. Nothing. Okay? Now I got a tenant right next door to me. The only tenant I have, that's right next door. You know, I'm like right in the corner.
Yep. You're on the end or something? Okay.
She's got a water fetish. 5 o'clock every morning. And it goes from 5 o'clock in the morning and it goes until 9 o'clock at night. Constantly. On, off, on, off, on, off. They wash their clothes in the sink. I know that for a fact because I never see them at this laundry mat or whatever, you know, the laundry.
Yep, sure.
Okay? Then I get their family that comes over here at 5:30. Pink bathrobes, slippers. They live at Shrewsbury Landing down the street. They take showers in their apartment. Their family, you know, their kids. I've had these meetings with Kelly, you know, and I was told that at one time we discussed it, we were gonna have a water meter put in their apartment concerning the water. Nothing ever happened about that. She, you know, then I had another meeting scheduled with an arbitrator or a mediator, okay? I took a day off. Called, you know, I lost 3 hours in the afternoon for my job. I get called 30 minutes before the meeting. Oh, the mediator can't make the meeting. All right? So next week, I get a meeting with the mediator again, and she says, I didn't say I couldn't make the meeting. I said I'd be about 10, 15 minutes late, and they just canceled it on me. You know, it cost me 3 hours pay, all right? Nothing is ever said about that, you know? And it seems like I've been getting lies and lies and lies from Ms. Fuentes. She
Okay.
doesn't tell the truth at all. And I got these all on record.
All right, so Kelly, I'm gonna ask, you know, we're a little out of our scope and a little of our purview, so I need to turn my
Yes.
attention to you. And, you know, has this been something you've addressed? Is this something you're looking into? What's happening?
So Karen Alice is involved.
Okay.
It's a tenant dispute, back and
Okay.
forth. We hear from the tenant, we hear from Mr. Perry. We can't speak. I cannot speak regarding the other tenants.
Right.
Yeah, this is way out of
This-
the purview.
yes.
Well, that's what I said, but
Yeah.
you heard my answer. I said, all I can do is ask Kelly if she's.
No, we can't get into this. We
Right.
cannot get. This is a you know, this has all kinds of issues involved in this kind of.
And Karen Alice is involved, Richard.
Yeah, well, Paul, this is not within the purview of the board.
Completely agree. That was my first response. Our charter, is it Mr. Perry, Tony Perry? Our charter, Mr. Perry, is very, very clear, legally excruciatingly clear that we have no operational control over the housing authority. That's Kelly's job, and in the event of a tenant dispute, maybe third-party counsel. Our job is oversight and policy administration. So,
Not only that, the open meeting law prevents us from even talking about tenants or other people without them having advance notice and an opportunity to be there.
So unfortunately, all I can tell you is while I empathize with your situation, it has to be handled through proper channels, which I believe is Kelly and apparently Counselor Ellison.
Yes, Karen Alice.
Okay, so you can't do anything about the water usage though?
It's a dispute between two tenants. I cannot
okay, that's
speak regarding it.
It's fine.
Why are you not getting any answers from you or Ms. Fuentes? I mean, there's everything that you.
We cannot talk about this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kelly can go offline with you. We're prohibited legally from discussing this in public if it involves another tenant.
Yeah.
I apologize, but that's the law and it's very, very binding. Other questions?
So if we have complaints, then you guys can't address them, right?
So your example was a good one, and if you notice our response, it was deferring to Kelly. We're elected officials in the town, and we're certainly glad to take input from people. That's where we have to draw the line. Our rules, our charter from the state and the town and the federal government on 3 levels are, we go through rigorous training to this regard. Our policy, administration, and oversight, and guidance. And that's all we can do. And then operationally, anything that involves an operation is Kelly. So Kathy and I can say, Kelly, maybe you should talk to the dumpster company, maybe you should do this, but we can't pick up the phone and call the dumpster company. We cannot.
Correct.
But sending the message last week was fine, because we got it to the right
Right,
channel.
right,
So
right,
whatever
right.
it takes to get it to the right channel.
We are elected officials and we do
you're
represent your
welcome
best
to
interests.
contact
Yes,
us.
yes, correct.
It's just a matter of what we can do and what we have to say, Kelly, can you do this?
That's what we have an executive director for.
Right, right.
Okay.
Oversight. Just think oversight and policy making. That's what we do.
Can we, any way we can have somebody like Kelly or to come to this facility here on a regular basis so we can discuss complaints?
Absolutely. And that's the kind of policy that can be brought to the board and Kelly can say, I want to set up XYZ, a tenant oversight committee, a weekly, a bi-weekly. Do I have the board's consent? Do you support that? And we say yes, and then she does that. So that's,
Because we have coffee hour, what, twice a month?
so Kelly, I would encourage you to manage that and come back to us with something like that. 100% yes. Kelly can come to that, not us. That's the issue.
Okay.
All right. And I think that's probably a great place to start,
Yes.
if you want my opinion. So, other questions, comments, or concerns? Other questions from anyone on the board to my left and right?
We have one right here.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, sir. Thank
We
you.
have end doors at the end of the building, we have doors that usually are open.
Okay.
This is the time of year, right by the woods, we're getting squirrels and chipmunks. They get into the building.
Yep.
We're gonna have a bad problem.
I feel like we've talked about this before. Maybe a year or two ago, there was a door being left open problem.
Yeah, and the notice is in the process right now
Yeah,
of
somebody's keeping
having,
the doors open with
yes.
rocks and boards and.
Okay.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
That's a safety
That's
issue,
complete.
too.
That's unacceptable. We had this conversation again. This is my
No,
day.
it's
Okay,
bad.
so there was a few years ago we had the same issue, and that's completely unacceptable. So I will tell Kelly whatever she needs to do from a policy administration point of view. Have your maintenance guys swing by, post stuff.
I've come
Okay.
by 3 times.
Okay, so yeah, so we're aware that it's a problem. We completely agree and empathize with you. That's completely unacceptable. 100% agreed.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions, comments, or concerns? For the second time, anyone to my left or right?
No.
Richard, anything from you? Any additional before I take a motion to adjourn?
No, I just want to thank my fellow board members and those that are in attendance there for accommodating me to allow me to do this from home.
Feel better, Richard.
Yeah,
Feel
No
better.
worries, no worries. That having been said, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Richard, I'm going to disconnect you.